Welcome to another episode of the Fisher Fitness Coaching Podcast. This is episode 61. Hope you're good, and thank you as always for listening. This episode it came to me when I had someone question why they weren't seeing any fat loss. It was when I was in the gym. I just finished a coaching session, and it wasn't my client. It was someone else, and you could tell that they were very confused. They were fairly frustrated with the fact that this person trains a lot. This person trains, God, no, I mean, up to 5-6 times a week. Trains hard, does fairly intense training sessions, cardio-based, strength-based, works a lot, right? And this particular person was frustrated that they weren't seeing or weren't noticing any fat loss for a while when they put so much work in the gym and they turn up for these sessions, they go all out, they sweat, they work hard. Do you know what I mean? So and you could tell this person was very frustrated, and they were going through these different options with me as to why they think then it's not working. It was the fact of maybe my bit, these very common things came up, like broken metabolism, I think they called it, or they weren't eating enough. The fact that they're not eating enough calories, which means that they are storing body fat. So starvation mode came into the discussion. Lots of confusion going on in terms of why they weren't seeing the results they were expecting, even though they were putting all this work in. And it is actually a very simple solution. I said to them, the reason they're not seeing any fat loss was simply because they were consuming more calories than they were burning on average. That's it. I know that's the very easy answer, but a solution to that is far more complex. So, it all boils down to energy balance. The reason there's no fat loss is because, on average, this person is still, even after doing all this work, is still consuming more calories than they are burning. So the problem is when people train hard, they train in the gym lots of the time to burn calories. They train hard, they do boxing, they do HIIT, they do high rocks, they do CrossFit, high intense exercises, workouts, to try and burn as much or as many calories as possible, thinking that's going to lead directly to fat loss, when that's just not the case. We can go into so much detail on this, but essentially, when you work out, I've mentioned this before. When you work out, you should only be working out to, in terms of a body composition perspective, you should be working out to build muscle and retain muscle tissue and get stronger, not to burn calories, not to get sweaty, not to, leave the gym completely ruined. It's to get stronger. It's to retain muscle tissue. All right. So most people are found trained to burn fat, trained to burn calories. What happens is, and this is probably the main issue here. What happens is when people have a really hard workout, they train really hard. They get a sweat on. They feel awesome, which is great, right? Yes, you should be training to feel better, because it helps your physical and mental health. So what happens is when someone finishes a intense workout, they tend to reward themselves with more food. And again, this came to me, I think, just yesterday when I did a boxing class. No, I took part, so I actually took part in it, which is really good. It was great. I had a great workout, felt awesome afterwards. And I was talking to a few lads, and one person was like, yeah, that was great. I'm gonna cook up a fat roast when I get home, something along those lines. And this again, it's so common when people, and then someone else commented, yeah, well, I think we deserve that big bag of Doritos or something like that. And it's like, that is the reason. The reason people, the reason that's the reason why this frustration comes about. So people train so hard in the gym, feel great, and then reward themselves with a shit ton of calories or high calorie foods, which taste amazing because it's like a reward. It's like you've deserved this. You've earned this food. So and not to mention that you don't actually burn as many calories as you may think. You may think after an hour of intense exercise, you'll burn thousands of calories. It's just not the case. It's literally a few hundred. I think on average, like an average man, an average male, my sort of weight, my height, an hour intense workout will burn between 400 to 600 calories, around 500 calories. It's not much for a very intense workout. And then you go and reward yourself with a big meal, a big calorie dense, delicious meal, followed by probably a few snacks as well. That's 1,000 calories. That's 1,500 calories easily. You do this 5-6 times a week. You could easily end up consuming more calories than you're burning. So you end up actually gaining body fat rather than losing body fat. So people choose this sort of reward route after a workout, thinking that they can eat whatever they want and as much as they want because they've trained hard. It's just not the case. If you're looking to lose body fat, you still need to have some sort of control over your caloric intake. You still need to, because if not, you just won't see the fat loss. So going back to someone saying, "Oh, I don't eat enough," well, that's opposite. You're eating too much. You're consuming more than you think. You're consuming more calories than you think, and you're burning less than you think. Starvation mode isn't a thing. When metabolic adaptation is a thing, so when we start to lose body fat, your body thinks it's starving, so it will start to slow down the metabolism and make you feel hungry, releases hunger hormones, and it will reduce your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So it will put you in this sort of survival mechanism where it will try to stop you from losing body fat, but it doesn't start. Your body won't start storing or holding on to body fat if it's in a calorie deficit. You just need to make a few adjustments to then create that calorie deficit again. So it's not the fact that you're not eating enough, it's the fact you're eating more than you think. You're finishing these workouts, these hard workouts, you're feeling hungry because you've just done a very energy, you've just done a very high energy output workout, so you're going to feel hungry afterwards. Most people do, so you tend to eat more. You tend to eat these ultra processed, highly palatable foods because you are rewarding yourself because you've done well after a good workout, and that's fair enough. You can have a little bit, but you still need to, like I said, have some level of control over your caloric intake. So tracking your food still. That's the only way you're going to get the fat loss results you want and deserve. It's just having some more focus and control over how much you are consuming. And you do that obviously by making sensible decisions with your nutrition. So tracking your food is or can be a very effective way of doing that. So yeah, that is literally why your workouts aren't causing fat loss, because you're still consuming too much. And I've seen cases where people train literally 2-3 times a day, not every day, but you see people doing workouts like high intense workouts, these very energy demanding workouts 2 times a day. And then imagine the frustration when you train so hard because your ultimate goal is to lose body fat. And it's just not happening. So you think, right, I need to do more. So then you start doing more and more and more, get even more frustrated. And then at some point, you're going to give up because nothing is, in your mind, nothing is working. When the only thing you need to do is just maybe spend a week, 2 weeks tracking your food accurately. Then you'll start to see that you're consuming a lot more than you think. And then you'll start to see your body weight go down, which will then give you motivation, which will then make you realize that you just needed to make some better decisions with food, consume less, control your calorie intake, still train, but maybe not as much. Sometimes literally with training, less is more. The less times you train, the better the results, because you're putting your body through less stress. You're going to be less tired. You're going to be less likely to overconsume on calorie dense foods. Just as an example, just finally before I leave, I've got a client, a member on 8 weeks to lean at the minute. So he went from doing maybe strength training 3-4 times a week, and then about 3 or 4 high intense workouts like high rocks and boxing. I told him to literally reduce his training frequency down to 3 times a week. And he's feeling low in energy because he's literally consuming less calories than he's burning, but he's losing body fat. There's no way he would be able to continue with that level of training, that frequency, with that amount of calories he is consuming, which is a lot less than he used to be consuming. So before he came onto the program, he was doing all this training, but just wasn't seeing any fat loss. So that, again, once he came onto the program, we focused way more on his nutrition, his calorie intake, and reduced his training frequency down. I told him to focus just on 3 strength training sessions a week, and he's losing body fat and he's loving the results. So it just shows you that when you're looking at fat loss, when you're trying to lose body fat, most of your focus should come from nutrition, not training. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Any questions on that, please let me know. Nice and quick one today. Thanks for listening as always, and I'll be back some other time for another episode. Yeah, but if you've got any questions, if you've got any ideas of what you'd like me to talk about, if any frustrations, any confusion within the industry, whether it comes to fat loss, muscle growth, strength, training, anything like that, let me know and I'll do a podcast on it. Yeah, cheers guys. All the best, and I'll speak to you soon.